Well, and this can kind of feed back with the previous question. I cut my teeth with Hedron, right? And that was right around the time that I decided to go like full time into software engineering and to kind of level up myself, right? So I sure hope that we're all getting a little bit smarter in crypto, but sometimes you gotta wonder, right? So your guess is as good as mine. But yeah, when we're talking about iBurn, right? This is called the Icosa burn protocol. So it's just iBurn for short. We're trying to run a couple more simulations, right? Again, no sacrifice. You don't need to connect to adapt to prove that you own Icosa or Hex or anything else. It simply is a protocol that is designed to do a couple things. One, we want to burn Icosa. There's an interesting fact about Icosa is that the staking pools have dried up, and the reason they have is because it's not so much that the auctions aren't going on; it's because the bootstrapped yield that Alex or the deployer put out there only lasted a year, right? So now what that means to us is that the inflation phase is over, more than likely. Though at least the massive inflation phase is over. So now let's see what happens when we start burning this. We're going to burn both uh, Icosa and the wrapped version of Icosa from Ethereum, and they will be going to the debt address this time around, and that will, once you pay the protocol fee, that will allow you to mint the iBurn into existence, and there will be no pre-mints of iBurn as well, just like there was no pre-mints in PGIF. So we're going to see what happens when we burn it. We're also going to see what happens to the price between the two. See if we can't, put a lever in between and push the wrapped version closer to parity with the Icosa version. This is something we've talked about in the Icosa chats for quite some time, even before PulseChain even existed. We were talking about price parities. And wouldn't it be interesting if we were able to do that ourselves in this little microcosm of a community that we have? So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully that was a good explainer for you.
So it yeah, you started to explain it to me. That here's my so you're saying it's going to burn um, Icosa and P Icosa, right?
Right.
So do I have to get Icosa and P Icosa in my wallet and inject them? How is it going to work that way?
You can have either. So it'll be your selection on the front end, the DApp that I've built. There is
Hmm.
just a little drop down box where you
Hmm.
select which Icosa you would like to use. And then when you
Oh,
select it,
so
it'll read that.
it's not both of them at the same time, but you can burn both of them.
which builds the
Correct.
floor and ceiling parity at the same time. So I just sent over SJ
Wait,
both
wait,
the
wait. Oh, hold on one second, Kool-Aid. I want to get the specifics here so that people can understand. So you can go to the site, the front end. There's going to be a front end this time. You're not going to have to go mess with the oh
Hey, listen,
gosh,
I was really tempted to have everybody, especially you, work the Block Explorer again, but
we're Block
it's
Explorer.
nice to see. It's nice to see everybody level up from time to time, so I enjoy it. But no,
Uh,
we've got a DApp built this time, ready to go.
I almost broke a brain cell. I think I did. The brain cell. It's cracked anyway. So you're gonna have a drop down where I could either inject, and I like using that word because I want to make sure people understand that you're taking your tokens and putting them into a protocol. So I can either inject Icosa or P Icosa as my burn token into the contract, correct?
Correct.
And not both of them at the same time, but one or the other, right?
One or the other. Yep.
Okay, one or the other. Okay, so I can put my P Icosa or my Icosa in there, and when I get my stakes out, I can go and inject them both. Now it's going to be a pulse that goes in on the other side of it, correct?
That's correct.
So then you're going to inject your pulse. At what ratio will you be putting pulse in for Icosa?
So right now we have it earmarked, and this is subject to change, but we have it earmarked for 1,500 pulse per Icosa, no matter which one you
Mhm.
put in. And the reason is that's roughly the value of the native Icosa on PulseChain, or the P Icosas, as you're calling it.
So if those change at all as far as their value goes, the ratios may change before it launches.
Only if it's a drastic change. Yeah, if
Okay.
there's a overnight pump, then we will make some last minute adjustments. But once we make the adjustments, it's all hard coded and immutable, and we won't be able to change it.
Okay. So then from there, the Icosa or P Icosa gets burnt and sent to the burn address, and then the pulse that goes in goes up to the market and buys Icosa on both sides, or it's going to pull it
So
from the pulse side, the wrap version, and the P Icosa.
so this is where we're trying something a little new here too. We
Okay.
gotta plug in as many new tests as we can. We gotta find what the sweet spots are.
Simulation.
So
Okay.
correct. So what we're going to do is, this time around, we're going to take 15% of all the pulse that comes in, and we're going to inject it into the permagif buy and burn.
Oh,
So now the
interesting.
permagif buy and burn is going to be fueled by 2 different sources instead of just one. And then the other 85%, that will be used to buy iBurn off the market and delete it, or
So are
burn it.
you okay?
Fine,
Okay.
sorry.
Wait a
So what
second
what
now.
one
Wait a
point
second.
what
Go ahead. Go ahead, Kool-Aid.
the one thing I want you to remember is we started out with one PGIF for one pulse. It is now 34.5 pulse per PGIF. And then the ceiling is 10 pulse on top of it in a flat ratio, which wasn't even introduced for 2 months after. So I want you to take that thought component in your head, whether you understand it or not, while you're understanding the rest of it. Go ahead, Cap.
Because it's going up in value as it's being created. Gotcha. So okay, that's interesting. So now these protocols, as you attach them to other, can actually go in and start creating more value on top of PGIF. Uh, so now it's helping the other ecosystems, like I talked about earlier. Icosa, the PulseChain itself by volume and all of that. Burning the Icosa, pushing the value up on Icosa on both sides, and also the pulse that's spent is buying off of the market. Now this is going to actually inject into that, and so permagif is going to be getting a boost like every time this protocol gets rolled out, maybe,
Yeah, it's gonna get fed from 2 different angles, and
or three or
this
four or
is
five or 10 or 20 or 100.
very
Very
well
well.
could.
100.
Okay, now I'm a little more excited now about PGIF. I thought okay, cool. I'm
Well,
just gonna leave it there. I'm not gonna get weird about it, but I mean that's interesting, and very very cool at the same time. So then so that's the only real difference in the protocol, is that there is going to be instead of going to the marketplace and buying all of the Icosa with the pulse that goes in, a percentage of it, 15% of it, is going to go to buy permagif and burn it, right?
Well, the only difference is the other one had the GIF OA. So the GIF OA goes through GIF and PGIF. This time, everything else that shards off of the original Gifford Tech technology goes to funnel into PGIF to add to that smashing machine, right? And because of that, anything that's built on P or Gifford technology will have that same wherewithal of the forward and backwards of the machine that we're building. So this is the second leg of the stool.